China has held a large-scale airshow to showcase its military aeronautical capability, but while the show's primary purpose to flex the Chinese Communist Party's ability to project power, it revealed far more than what they wanted to. But before we begin the in-depth analysis, we need to go over a major oddity. The footage you're seeing has not been filmed by an amateur, nor has it been tampered with in any way. This has been filmed by a production crew assembled by the Chinese Communist Party. It's very strange that they have failed to bring a competent team to document the airshow, considering the serious nature of the show. Throughout the stream, the entire camera team lose track of the aircraft they're supposed to be filming numerous times, while the production manager flips between feeds hoping one of them is tracking the aircraft. Another issue is the lack of contrast in the footage. One more embarrassing oversight is audio only streamed in the right pan. So we apologize for the low quality footage, but this is the best we have to work with. As for the airshow itself, the vast majority of it started at the J-10. The J-10 is a low-cost, multi-role fighter that is intended to compete with aircraft like the F-16 Fighting Falcon. It's not much of a stretch to say this is the best of China's indigenous fighter designs. However, it is debatable just how much of the design is actually indigenous, considering the apparent influence from an Israeli fighter concept. That said, its track record and performance indicate it is a successful design, as it has had relatively few accidents, not to mention it continues to see innovation after a successful manufacturing run. This was apparent with the third iteration, known as the J-10B Thrust Vectoring Control Demonstrator, making an appearance. The display was kept short, which implies the product is of poor quality. However, the short display showed a lot of impressive maneuvers with no real obvious problems, so the idea to keep the display short seems baffling. The J-10B TVC features the same diverterless intake as the J-10B, which limits its top speed but should reduce the radar cross-section significantly from the front. The J-10B TVC featured a brand new thrust vectoring nozzle, which appeared to be three-dimensional as it achieved very impressive yaw rates during a helicopter turn that was confusingly cut short at just one turn. And several times the aircraft displayed an amazing thrust-to-weight ratio as it accelerated to fighting speed after recovering from near and post-stall maneuvers with extreme ease and haste. The other interesting display was the J-20 performance. While the J-10 is an impressive fighter that commands respect, it is a near afterthought despite its continued upgrade path. The J-20 is a star of the Chinese Air Force, and yet it has performed rather poorly in the show. In this case, it was clear that the display was kept short for the sake of hiding the inefficiencies of the aircraft. They performed 2 or 3 simple left-hand turns before splitting off. One aircraft powered into the vertical while another rolled left into a minimal radius turn. This minimal radius turn proved to be extremely telling, as it has displayed a couple serious issues with the aircraft. The left-hand roll was performed relatively slowly, and yet the pilot still undershot the 90-degree mark to the point where the corrective roll had to be applied. This is worrisome, as Western aircraft are able to roll much faster with far more precision. Even the F-15 Eagle, which doesn't use fly-by-wire, is able to achieve much better roll performance. After the hiccup during the roll, the pilot performed a minimal radius turn. And judging the quality of these turns is difficult even for the trained eye, in spite of the YouTube comments trying to claim otherwise. There are several factors that go into judging these turns: the time needed to complete the turn, the speed the turn is performed, and how tight the turn is. Seeing how long it takes to perform the turn is as easy as counting the seconds. Seeing how tight the turn is can be quite difficult. The best way is to use the exhaust from the engines that appears when the pilot switches between normal and afterburning power. As for speed, it's a simple guess for the relative as we compare with other aircraft. Additionally, if you know what 600 knots looks like, then you can get relatively close. By comparing this turn with other aircraft, we can determine the relative turning capabilities. This particular turn seems to be rather poor, with even the F-18 Super Hornet beating it. The F-18 is an extremely maneuverable aircraft, but it was designed for low-speed maneuverability, not high-speed. The J-20 seems to be going about 300 to 350 knots, which is low to mid-range fighting speed, and it takes quite a while for it to complete the turn. Even then, the aircraft seems to have a noticeable higher angle of attack at the end, implying it has lost a lot of energy in that turn. Without any exhaust or lung vapors, it's difficult to judge the turn's radius. However, based on how the aircraft scaled in the image, it seemed to be slightly bigger than the F-15C Eagle. Another troubling sign is the vortex produced by the leading edge extension at the root of the aircraft's wings. It seems to flow outward, which is typical of high-end last-generation fighter aircraft. However, aircraft like the F-22 and F-35 have carefully shaped noses, intakes, and leading edge extensions that produce a series of vortices that corral the main vortex towards the inside of the wing. preventing both stalls and feeding the rudders with air during high angles of attack. This implies the only reason the aircraft still had control is because of the large canards ahead of a nearly stalling wing. We never expected the aircraft to be particularly maneuverable due to its large size. However, this is still disappointing performance from the pride of the Chinese Air Force. The issue with the roll implies poor pilot training or poor fly-by-wire control logic. And the poor turn implies the underpowered engines and poor aerodynamic design is hindering its maneuvering capabilities. And thank you for watching our analysis. We hope you enjoyed this video and encourage you to return to this channel for more insight into both the military and civilian aviation world. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy your dance with the angels.